Good morning, it's Green Thumb. So it's almost that time of day when we figure out how we are going to turn eggshells into a plant usable calcium. So normally what I would do is I would smash up those eggshells and then I'd bake them off in the oven for about half an hour at 220 degrees or something. And then I would put them in a blender, powderize them, and then I would add them to the holes where I'm planting my tomatoes. But I was watching a video about 2 weeks ago. I think it was the rustic gardener, Gary something or other. And what he does is he he puts them in the oven, dries them out, and then he mixes them after he's broken them all up. He mixes them with vinegar, and apparently the vinegar breaks the eggshells down into a pure calcium that's directly available for uptake by the plants. So you're thinking, oh, I don't want to put vinegar in my garden and stuff, right? But he actually runs pH test strips in the solution, and it's coming out almost neutral after it's all said and done. Something about how the vinegar mixes with the calcium in the eggshells and it evaporates into carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, or I think it's carbon dioxide, and you end up with like a neutral product, which, I mean, they're going in tomato holes, so it's okay if it's acidic anyways. So we're going to do that today. So here's my bag of eggshells. It's about a pound worth. I've got some of the eggshells from the farm, so there's duck eggs and chicken eggs in here. I've beat them up with a rolling pin, broken them up pretty good. So we're gonna just take these things, like that. We're going to spread them around. Tear them up a little bit. I don't have my blender anymore, so I hope I can get these into small enough pieces. A couple of weeks ago, my blender's made out of glass. It's a thick, heavy-duty one. And when I was washing it, I brought it past the bottom of one of my heavy-duty pots, and I caught it right at the best. Whoa, sorry. And I caught it right at, I guess, a weak point or whatever, and my entire blender shattered everywhere. So I don't have a blender anymore. So we're gonna see how this works without a blender. Look at that, you can tell this from the duck egg. Look how thick the membrane is on that thing. Wow. Feels like a piece of plastic. Maybe that's just going to end up getting planted in the garden anyways. It's not like it's going to hurt it. It'll just break down. All right, so step one, eggshells on a baking sheet. Then we're going to turn the oven on to bake. Put that at about 225. Hit play. Wash my hands off. Here we go. I'm not even going to worry about preheating up the oven because, it don't matter. We're just putting eggshells in it. Open up the oven. Fire them in. Blammo. Just like that. We're going to wait about 20 minutes or so. And 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on kind of how my morning goes. And when I pull them out, I'll pick the video back up. All right, so we baked off the eggshells for about 25 minutes at 225. Let's get this right back up. Because I didn't have a blender, I just put them in my mortar and pestle, and they broke down real easy. So there's about a pound of eggshells here. So now what we're going to do, we are going to take regular old vinegar, and we're just going to pour this stuff in. So this is my first time doing this, so this might be a little bit of trial and error, but essentially what we're looking for is a watery slurry. And I went back and I watched that video, and so what this is going to break down into is water, carbon dioxide, and calcium. So we're just going to keep adding until we get that right consistency. It's already foaming up. It's doing the sort of like the, can you see it? Look at the foam. So this is going to do the same sort of thing as the vinegar and baking soda. Remember when you were a kid and you used to do those science experiments in class making the volcano? Look at that, it's foaming right up. So we're just going to mix this all in. There we go. One science experiment. If you guys have been watching my channel for the last year, you know I tend to do experiments anyways, so this will be a good one. So we're just going to mix this all up, make sure it's... So essentially what you want to do is you want to have these little bits of eggshells in the smallest portions you can get them, right? So we're going to mix this up like that. So it's kind of like half foam, half eggshells. You guys see that? Okay. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to let the vinegar break this down for us. I figure that's probably about the right consistency. We're going to let the vinegar do its job for us for about an hour or so. Oh, turn the oven off here. And then because I need this today, there's no way I can apply this into all my tomato holes. Well, I'm sure I could, but I want more of a powder type format. It'll just be easier to work with. So what I'm going to do is when this has worked for about an hour, it's 10:47 a.m. Saturday morning, May, I think today's the 27th. I'll let this sit for a bit, and then when I come back, I'm going to spread it on some aluminum foil on the same baking sheet that I had the eggs on. And I'm just going to toss it into the oven for a little bit on a super low temperature. Essentially, all I want to do is just evaporate whatever water is in here that's getting broken down by the vinegar and the calcium. So eggshells are calcium carbonate, right? So, and we want a pure calcium product. So when this is bubbled for about an hour, I'm going to spread it on a piece of aluminum foil, toss it in the oven, and essentially all we're going to do is we're just going to dry it out. So that way I can take it to the garden, and when I plant my tomatoes, I'm going to mix this with some Epsom salts. So what we're really trying to look for here is if you have half decent soil, you should have a fair amount of usable calcium in that soil, right? Calcium is prevalent everywhere. And one of the main reasons we want to add calcium, especially to something like tomatoes, one of the main reasons you want to add it to your tomatoes is because tomatoes get blossom end rot, and that's where the bottom of your tomato turns all brown and kind of gross. So there's a couple of reasons that happens. One of them is a lack of calcium, and the other one is improper pollination. You can sort out improper pollination by hand pollinating your tomatoes, and I don't mean literally like taking a Q-tip and, you know, doing the pollinate from flower to flower. You don't need to do that. What you do is when you have flower clusters, right, you just take your fingers and you vibrate your fingers like this really quick on the stem that has the flowers on it, and what'll happen is just by quick vibration like that with your fingers, because each flower has the male and the female sex organs in it. So by vibrating your fingers like that, you'll pollinate your tomato flowers. I very rarely get a lot of flowers that don't end up growing tomatoes. But that's one way to stop blossom end rot. And the second is to make sure that you have adequate calcium for your plants. So I always add eggshells into the bottom of my holes, but normally what I do is I do the whole process you've seen so far, except I don't do the vinegar method here. I just dry them out, I blender them up, I put them in a big spice shaker with some Epsom salts and some fertilizer, and I just give a shake into the bottom of each hole. Oh, and some coffee grinds, and I put a little bit of that into each tomato planting hole. But today we're gonna science the hell out of this. So I'm gonna let that sit. See, the foam's already starting to defoam. That's the technical term, defoam, right? And I'm gonna go drink my little tiny coffee cup here. I got big hands, so, you know, little coffee cup. And I'll bring you guys back. Okay? All right, so it's the next day. I did all this yesterday, did the other filming yesterday. So this is what we have left. It's still slightly damp. It's kind of just feels like broken eggshells. So if the vinegar did its job, this should just be calcium now. So we're going to take that, add it into here. That's not cat food. These are alfalfa pellets. Underneath the alfalfa pellets is Gaia Green veg fertilizer. Underneath that is used coffee grounds. So we're just going to add this right into here. And we're going to be going and planting tomatoes today. So I'm going to use about 2/3 of what was in that bowl. Maybe another scoop. There. And on top of this, I'm going to put some Epsom salts, and it's in a Folgers coffee can. These things are great. I use them for about 1 million things. So we're going to top this up with some Epsom salts. We're going to give the whole thing a great big shake. And every tomato plant, we're doing, I don't know, 70 tomatoes today. Every plant is going to get a little scoop of this stuff in the planting hole, and should give it pretty much everything it needs. So there we go. If the science worked, we're looking at pure calcium to cure blossom end rot in our plants. All right, everybody, have a great day. Grow good food. Like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, and happy Sunday. See ya. Bye.